Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chattanooga, Tennessee for the final day of the Tengig Festival as we look at beautiful sights and sounds of the city, technologically advanced with the fastest internet in the continental United States. We're here to bring you the final day, the semifinals and finals of the Tengig Collegiate Invitational live from the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Auditorium. The teams are ready to go. Computers are ready to go, and we are ready to go. Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel Deacon Gonzalez, and joining me, of course, is none other than who else would I have? Bill Jump Carter. How's it going, brother?
Man, it's doing fantastic. It's the final game day, so the bow ties are back out. I wore a tie yesterday for the first time in like 6 months.
It felt weird,
It felt very weird. It was very different. But, man, we're here, and we started with 8 teams. We're now down to the final 4, and this is definitely the top 4 of the 8 that we have here in the Collegiate Invitational.
That's right. Let's take a look at the bracket. Out of the teams that made it through the group stage, we have the top 4. As you said, Vandy, Texas A&M, Georgia Tech, and Mississippi State all cruising through the groups. And I think this is going to be a huge matchup for all of them. And when you're looking at the 4 teams, like, what jumps out at you here, Bill?
I think for me, a big factor is Mississippi State. When we were preparing for this and we were looking at rosters and just looking at these teams as a whole, we didn't necessarily put Mississippi State in that top 2, but they definitely stood up, rose to the challenge, and, you know, proved us wrong.
Yeah, again, surprise victory by them over Clemson. We had high hopes for Clemson as a returning team. We got to see them play against each other on stage, and Mississippi State looked very impressive. But on the other side of the bracket, Texas A&M has continued their dominance of the collegiate scene, and they're proving so here as well.
They definitely have. We got to talk to some of the players that that had got to watch Texas A&M. They got to play against Texas A&M, and they kind of just looked at us, and it was just like, the Aggies know what they're doing, man. They definitely have it down, and that showed yesterday. We had 2 matches on the broadcast, and every moment that required some sort of action by Texas A&M, they were always making sure to hitting those cues every step of the way.
Yeah, Texas A&M just kind of playing the game that's the next tier, right?
Yeah.
You don't ever get anything for free against them. If you're going to take a kill, they're going to take a tower on the opposite side of the map. If you're going to take a tower, they'll look for a bigger objective. So Texas A&M, the team to watch for, especially since they're the first ones that are up. The teams are seated and ready to go, so let's get ourselves into the draft. The first matchup, Texas A&M versus Vanderbilt.
I want to see what Vanderbilt does to counter the extremely high level of efficiency that Texas A&M brings to the table. And for me, a big piece of that is, what are they going to do with their bot lane? There are lots of conversations about the strength of the bot lane in the current meta and what your AD carry and your support, especially with the Ardent Sensor meta that we're in right now, what are they going to do to step up? I wasn't necessarily impressed with Vanderbilt's bot lane, and they're going to have to show something different against these powerhouses with Texas A&M.
However, someone that was very impressive in their game on stage was 1st of July. He pulled out the Jays, win a little bit more with the defensive build, which was surprising because he was one of the few players that got ahead early, and it paid off a ton in the end, and he made some huge plays.
He did indeed. And with this being said, as we're getting into the draft phase now, we have to think about what is a priority for Texas A&M. And for me, the Cho'Gath, which they actually ended up banning away from themselves, was pivotal in a big piece of their success.
Yeah, both teams played with it.
They did. And you also have to think about the Xayah Rakan in the bot lane. You had the Rakan being banned away by Vanderbilt. They don't want to risk that going first pick over into B here. And so already we're starting to see some trends develop.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot with the players being willing to ban out the Rakan and leave one up, or ban out the Xayah and leave one up. But when you get the lovers duo together, it's a very, very strong combo. First pick here for Texas A&M. Very meta. We've seen it all the time in pro play. The Sejuani going first.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what Vanderbilt has up their sleeve, because they actually banned away the Zac. They could have banned the Sejuani there and just taken it off the board and forced Glory to play something a little bit different. But instead, they took away the Zac. They didn't have to want to worry about that. And so now they have the decision. I wouldn't be surprised if you see something like a quick Xayah Gragas, but instead, they want to prioritize that Ardent Sensor. They want to get their support into something that they're a little bit more comfortable with, and it's going to be that Janna pick.
Yeah, something to note here real quick. a substitution by Vanderbilt. They're going with Ominous Mirror in the jungle, their sub-jungler, and then moving Sivir Scaldi, who played jungle, into the support role, and Ostracized will be sitting on the bench on this one.
And I really think that Vanderbilt is going to benefit off of this. While we haven't seen Ominous Mirror in play, Sivir Scaldi was very efficient on his Sejuani yesterday. And so knowing the synergy that he has already developed and already has with his team, it's going to be important for them to have him at the support role with Vandy Landy.
And on top of that, you made the point earlier, most junglers have a very similar eye for vision as supports. So I don't think the vision game is going to drop off any, to be quite frankly. It might be even more accentuated for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and so now we're seeing Texas A&M pick up the Lulu as well as that Varus. They're keeping their hands held. They don't want to have to worry about giving up a top lane or a mid lane pick that Vanderbilt can easily counter. But on the flip side of the map, it is going to be Vanderbilt picking up that Vladimir, probably going into 1st of July's hands. He actually had that banned away from him yesterday. So getting him onto something of a comfort pick, it's already starting to create some power behind this Vanderbilt team.
That's right, and we got to see that played earlier today, this morning at Worlds. If you're a hardcore League of Legends fan that woke up at 3 in the morning to watch the World Championships, that was pulled out by one of the LMS teams. But going back to the Lulu and Varus, this is the same combo that we saw Texas A&M pull out in their very first game on stage against Clemson, so comfort picks for them there. Bans coming out, it's LeBlanc and Jace, banned by Vanderbilt away from Mr. Black Panda. Again, that is the new player on Texas A&M who hasn't faltered yet throughout the tournament.
No, he hasn't necessarily shined and created something to be worthy of a top 5 plays, but he's been consistent. And I think when you think about the playmakers on Texas A&M, you think about Fat YG in the top lane, you think about Glory, you don't have to have another crazy threat that's going to be throwing off everything. You just need someone consistent in the mid lane that's going to allow and enable the other lanes and the other roles to really carry.
Final ban is Camille, so shortening the top lane pool. And ooh, Vandy Landy, you know, we got to see him play on stage earlier against Chattanooga, and he was taken to the shed by the bot lane of Chattanooga on the Xayah. He didn't have a very good laning phase. He had okay plays, and you talked about it earlier, you need him to step up, but now he's playing a crazy different type of AD carry in a Sivir, a late game AD carry who can dish out a lot of damage, but Sivir's just not something you normally see in this meta.
No, it's not. They don't have the Cho'Gath with the Righteous Glory to help them and speed up the team, so instead they are going to end up picking up this Sivir. And I think a big piece of what this composition really tells me is how they're going to round out that composition for Drovey in the top lane. Meanwhile, flipping it over to the Aggies, it has been Mr. Black Panda locking in that Syndra, very strong pick, and again, they get Fat YG on that Jax.
Yeah, again, bucking the meta trend. A lot of meta there, right? With the Syndra, with the Lulu, with the Sejuani, but they're comfortable with putting their top laner on damage instead of a tank.
Yeah, and you just take a look at the team fight composition that the Aggies have yet again. This is something that they have really preached tried and true to their strategy. It's making sure that they are operating as a team and as a very cohesive unit, and their composition severely reflects that as Vanderbilt locks into Fiora to try to see if they can put that pressure on a YG in the top lane.
And so overall, again, carries in the top lane. I think that's got to be one of the things that you look at. And the other thing is the Vladimir pick. The last time we saw a pocket pick come out was the Zed yesterday, and it got absolutely dumpster counterpicked by an Echo. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on 1st of July in the mid lane to do big things, because they need him to carry. He was the one that carried them through the game against Chattanooga, one of those slobber knockers, and it was a great game, but it was not clean by any means.
No, it wasn't. And so now Vanderbilt, while they don't have a composition that you generally see revolving with a Sivir, you generally see other champions that really benefit from having that speed up and engaging. They do have the aspect of allowing Fiora a little bit of a speed up to get herself to the backline, because this is going to be the biggest difficulty for Vanderbilt. Texas A&M, because they are so cohesive in their team fighting, because it is such a core piece of their strategy, they are very good at protecting their backline. And you need somebody like a Fiora, like a Vladimir even, that can dive to that backline and really put pressure on a Chuck Norris and a Mr. Black Panda.
And in that game against Chattanooga, we got to see the patience that Vanderbilt has shown, especially for a team that isn't necessarily a top-tier premier team, that they would only fight when they found the right one. If they didn't find it, they were willing to disengage, wait for their cooldowns, and find the correct one.
For sure. This is something that Vanderbilt is going to have to definitely keep up as a consistent trend for them and their team fighting is if the team fight is not what they want, they need to back off, because that's what the composition of Texas A&M is revolving around, getting those team fights, using those choke points, using those objectives as a strength, but more importantly, it's catching the team off guard.
Well, we'll get to see if the school from Nashville will be able to take down the favorites of the tournament in Texas A&M when we come back. Game 1 of 3 versus Texas A&M versus Vandy. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the game 1 of Texas A&M versus Vanderbilt. Nothing left to do except get ourselves into the game. This interesting draft that Vandy pulled out.
It's a very interesting draft. Not only did Vanderbilt surprise us with the Sivir pick, but they actually were able to put their mid laner on something that they enjoy. This is what's extremely important for Vanderbilt, is making sure that not only do they have the comfort picks, but they have the confident picks. If they are on the champions that they know they can perform well on, then they're able to combat these very strong laners of Texas A&M.
Well, you were talking about the Sivir pick specifically. You're not exactly fully fond of it, or how do you feel about that?
I mean, Sivir as a whole works great, especially with two melee frontliners like a Jax and a Sejuani. You can use that ricochet to get to the backline in the later stages of the game. But what I worry about is whether or not Vandy has those decision-making capabilities of knowing when to use that ultimate and when not to. Because everybody knows it's very simple. Press R, go button, everybody go in. But Vandy as a personal player wasn't the most shining star on Vanderbilt. And so Vanderbilt has a lot of confidence by putting something as pivotal as that ultimate into his hands.
Well, speaking of the personal player themselves, let's start on the blue side with Texas A&M. In the top lane, YG. At jungle, it's Glory. In the mid lane, Mr. Black Panda. At AD carry, Chuck Normus. And at support, Bot with the B here.
And for the Vanderbilt Commodores, it's going to be Drovey in the top lane. Omnimus Mirror subbed in the jungle. 1st of July in the mid lane, Vandy Landy at AD carry, and Sivir Scaldi, the jungler, subbing in for support. You got a Sivir and a Sivir, my friend.
Sivir and a Sivers. Sivers Kaladi. I wish that's what it said, but it's Sivers Scaldi. Texas A&M and Vanderbilt going to have their junglers start on the bot side and rotate to the top. Texas A&M, one of the few teams who ganked at level 2, so we know that jungle pathing is no stranger to glory. We'll be looking for that as the game progresses.
And so you're already seeing with this level 1 itemization that 1st of July is confident in his play on the Vladimir. Generally, when you're going against these ranged mid matchups, you're decide to end up starting with the Dorn Shield. It synchronizes very well with somebody that relies on that regen the way that Vlad does, but instead he's decided to opt for that Dorn's ring, or excuse me, that Dark Ring to help give him or Dark Seal rather, to give him a little bit of extra oomph in these abilities.
That's right. So both junglers now heading to the top side of the map, trying to support both the top and mid laners on the bottom side, just farming back and forth here.
That was a very respectable pathing by Omnimus Mirror. He decided to, when he came in through the top side, he bypassed, instead of going past the Raptors to his red buff, he went around all the way just in case Glory was deciding to counter jungle or wait in the wayside on his red buff. So already you're seeing Vanderbilt respect the power that Glory brings in the jungle.
All right, both teams. Oh, vision of Vandy. Vision of Omnimus Mirror did pop up there for Texas A&M. And Drovey is relatively low, so we need to be aware of that.
But Glory won the Vision War and was able to sneak in onto that bush, and he's just going to sit and wait. That wave is going to push back into his favor. It's going to be a very long wait for him. You can see the blue side pings coming out saying, hey guys, we're here, we're going to make something happen. Other lanes, you're going to have to fend for yourself because we're going to try to get this first blood.
Yeah, Glory is spending a lot of time up here if they don't find something, and there it is. Oh, the Arctic Assault misses. Nice counter by Drovey, forces the flash away. And a lot of missed spells there out of the jungler.
The riposte to start the first damage, but more importantly, Glory missing his W. This isn't something that you see very often from somebody like him. So he's going to waste a little bit of time, give Omnimus Mirror an extra camp ahead. And now with Glory trying to lurk again, he does not know that there is that other ward there. But the Fat Man himself is going to just be enough to dissuade Glory back to his own jungle.
Yeah, so that was a lot of time Glory put up there, and that's probably one of the first times we've seen a Texas A&M play fail. That yes, it still got a flash. Let's be clear, it still got a flash, but it did give a small opening here for Omnimus Mirror, the new guy in the jungle for Vanderbilt, to find some advantages.
And these are these little plays that could become the difference in the next, in the next 5 to 6 minutes, because somebody like a Gragas as well as a Sejuani both benefit greatly. Oh, as we might actually.
Vandy has been very low throughout this laning phase, going with the Relic Shield, and again, that's kind of a greedy start. You want to get the gold for your support so that she can get the Ardent Sensor, which is the meta that we all live in right now, but it's not going to pay off if you end up dying in the lane.
No, and so they did only end up wasting the heal onto off of Sivir, but regardless, it is going to be Vanderbilt. Still
Black Panda's a little low. 1st of July going all the way in. Flash forward, the heal bait. Oh, and the Sanguine Pool going to keep him alive. One more. And 1st of July taking first blood against Mr. Black Panda.
There's a reason they banned the Vladimir away from him yesterday, and it's because his proficiency with the champion. He gets the first blood, and that's going to be a huge effort because Mr. Black Panda now is going to be so far behind against this Vladimir, because with Vladimir able to go back by himself, not only that Null Magic Mantle, but that Health Crystal, it's going to be just of enough resistance and tanky stats that he's going to be able to survive a quick and easy level 6 all-in by Mr. Black Panda if he's not careful.
Yeah, this goes back to Glory spending a lot of time in the top lane and not helping out his other lanes. I guess he got the flash, so we have to see if Texas A&M want to continue to pursue the top side of the map. But 1st of July, being able to make his own advantage there is huge for Vanderbilt, and it opens up the rest of the game for the team.
It does. Now, luckily, Black Panda was able to CS higher, and so he was able to go back and buy his Lost Chapter, which is going to allow him to stay in lane a little bit longer with the mana regen on the level ups that it provides you. But all the rather, you still have that slight advantage by 1st of July. But more importantly, it's the experience advantage that the Vladimir is going to have that's very important in this matchup.
So with that, they go trading back and forth. Mr. Black Panda getting a little aggressive. The early Null Magic Mantle will keep 1st of July safe. Normal buy as well, especially against the Cinder. You don't want to get burst down. But again, just we were looking at the individual play. We were looking at this roster and Vanderbilt. Drovey had some solid engages on the Cho'Gath in the game that we had on the broadcast yesterday. But 1st of July was the player that needed to step up, that needed to carry, and getting that solo kill has been huge for him right now. As we watch Glory get vision on the bottom side of the map, that means Ominous Mirror can get to the mid lane. He does have flash, body slam, and Black Panda in a little bit of trouble. Very low and will go down. 1st of July picking up his 2nd kill. Glory shows up a little late, does have flash and will flash away. But again, Vanderbilt being aggressive, being proactive, and Texas A&M not quite handling it.
For the first time on broadcast, we've seen Glory be a half a step behind the enemy jungler. Omnimus Mirror knew he was able to gank because of the lack of summoner spells on Mr. Black Panda, and as a result, they got able to get a 2nd kill. But more importantly, it goes into the hands of 1st of July. Omnimus Mirror did a great job at not actually taking that kill, and getting those extra resources into the Vladimir is extremely important.
So Vandy getting a little aggressive on the bottom side of the map. Chuck Normus getting enormous. Vandy Landy able to walk that one away. Glitterland's not going to land. But Bot with the B here is just saying, hey, this is our lane. You guys need to respect us and back the heck out. And that's exactly what's happening on the bottom side of the map. One of the few winning map sides so far for Texas A&M in terms of like CS and pressure.
Yeah, and so you really are going to have this mid lane of 1st of July continue to step up the way that he has, because every single lane is losing in CS. Fat YG went back and very appropriately decided to buy himself that early Ninja Tabby to help the duels against Drovey, and is still up about 2 waves of CS, and the same thing is being said for the bot lane. Varus able to go back, secure himself that pickaxe, as well as the recurve bow, and things are just going to be continuously get deadly for Texas A&M if Vanderbilt isn't able to find a way to get some kills.
That's right. Drovey, again, we thought he was a great initiator on a tank champion, on a Cho'Gath. Texas A&M went out of their way to ban that one out. Now he goes on to a damage dealer, a bruiser, a fighter, who is not going to be an initiator, and now we have to see how he's dealing with the difference. We've seen YG play carries before. We've seen him do it both here and on the big stage in the collegiate tournament. Drovey needs to pick up his play.
But here comes round 2 for Glory. He is level 6, so he's going to be able to have that ultimate available to help lock down Drovey, because Drovey is a little weak, but so is Omnimus Mirror.
Yeah, Omnimus Mirror in a little bit of trouble. Nice cast, slows down Fat YG. YG does have flash, will be getting this kill. 1st kill heading on over, but Drovey trying to deal damage, will be able to pick this one up. So it is a 1-for-1. Vandy finding themselves in an okay position here.
But more importantly, it's going to be the order of the way that those kills went off, because the double buff actually went into the pockets of Drovey. As Mr. Black Panda going to try to ult, but it might not be enough.
No, the Hemoplague does go down, forcing the heal out of Mr. Black Panda. Oh, a great pull by 1st of July. And Mr. Black Panda going to end up with a black eye. 0-3, down he goes. 3-0 in the mid lane for 1st of July.
1st of July decided to go swimming at the perfect time, dodging out that stun from Mr. Black Panda, able to secure himself a kill. And so while he had that slight disadvantage in the CS, 3-0-0, and he's going to be able to go back by his haunting guys and really start to put the pressure on Mr. Black Panda.
So probably one of the best starts here for Vandy, but taking a look at the gold, we've got to calm down a little bit. It's only a 500 gold lead for Vanderbilt because of the lanes that Texas A&M have been throwing down, especially here in the bottom side of the map.
And just look at what you see from this advantage. While you have a dominating mid lane performance from 1st of July, like we said, the other lanes are losing. You've got about a 400 gold difference between Chuck Normus and Vandy Landy, which is quite a significant difference considering the fact that you're going to want to obviously hit that 1st item power spike faster than your enemy bot laner. And so with Chuck Normus being able to have the degree that he's at, he's going to be able to get that Rage Blade much faster.
Now 1st of July again is the guy that has to make the plays here for Vandy. It was a good play by Drovey.
It was.
And Ominous Mirror walked into the bush where Glory was and ended up having things work out well due to a great cast. So again, maybe not the most proactive play there from Ominous Mirror, but kind of showing why they subbed him in.
Yeah. Now you also have to respect Vanderbilt's vision control right now. Of course, you went back and you got the hunting knife. from Omnimus Mirror to help things out, but they're actually starting to place some deeper wards in these entry and exits for the jungle. That's extremely important, especially considering the power that a Sejuani pick brings you in her CC and her CC lockdown. And so Vanderbilt's knowing this and has been able to get some solid wards, but Texas A&M as well. They've got some heavy wards on the top side of the map to make sure that they get vision of Omnimus Mirror when he's coming around.
Yeah, this laning phase hitting about the 11-minute mark now, 11:30, but 1st of July trying to accelerate this by cutting down this top laner. YG is pretty big. They do have vision of him. The tower is hitting him now. So 1st of July not doing this quite appropriately, but there's the pull. YG goes in a little bit of trouble. Down he goes. Will Drovey be able to get away? Yes, he will. A top lane dive works out well. Oh, the ultimate misses, so Glory not going to land it. And again, Vanderbilt getting away and getting a lead.
And another kill goes into the pocket of 1st of July. This is so beneficial for Vanderbilt because of the sheer fact that the Vladimir scaling. He's going to be able to impact so much more in team fights as Black Panda whips a little bit of a setup there. But oh, Omnis!
Nice ultimate. Oh, Omnis tried to guess where the flash was going to be, but forces the flash out of Black Panda. And again, you'll take that trade jungler for mid laner.
You will gladly take that flash away, regardless of the fact that it was the Gragas flash body slam, and he's not going to be able to have that to get the guaranteed knockup for quite a while. He's still going to have some power. We can just see constant pressure.
Sivers getting ulted there by Varus, and oh, the root passes over to Vandy Landy. So a little bit of trouble is this Vandy bot lane. Oh, he misses the Q, and it forces Chuck Normus backwards. So aggressive play there. Gets stopped by one Monsoon from Sivir. I mean, from Janna.
The little cheeky play by Chuck Normus and B here to try to see if they could pick themselves up a kill. But what ended up turning that team fight around was the spell shield of Vandy Landy from the polymorph. He was able to still have off just enough damage to get them to ward away. Now they're going to just reset themselves. About 1,000 gold leaf floating over into the favor of Vanderbilt. You've got caught up CS by Drovey. He's able to hit that. He was able to hit that level 9 spike to get a couple extra points in that queue to be able to combat Fat YG appropriately. And so now...
Oh, we know that he doesn't have any flash. Black Panda gets engaged upon, but that means Glory's just going to camp out and hang close. Vandy's mid laner will be able to walk away, so smart play there. Flash and Ghost Burn for 1st of July.
1st of July is ruthless in this mid lane right now. You could see the terrified ultimate. It was one of those reaction ultimates of, oh no, he's going to go in. I need to try to see if I can get damage while he dives. But as a result, 1st of July is continuously pushing up. He goes back, first item spike at the 1350-minute mark. That's going to end up being that Hextech Proto Belt. It's going to give him just a little bit of extra mobility as well as damage to keep this pressure in the mid lane.
So aggressive plays were paying off earlier for Vandy. This time Texas A&M was ready for the counter, but the gold lead now has blown up to 1,000 gold. Drovey getting aggressive on the Fat YG, uses the riposte for the stun, and now YG in a little bit of trouble, goes forward, but here comes Ominous Mirror and 1st of July, 3v2 simple numbers, not the best advantage here for Texas A&M. Flash over the wall by Drovey means Glory will be going down, and the taunt coming out. A little bit of flair from the boys from Nashville.
Give me that level 7, he says. 2-0 and 1 now for Drovey. We talked about how he has the ability to float both ways on utility in the top side of the map. He's able to run with that bruiser. He's also able to run with that tank. In this instance, he put the test. We have seen a lot of power coming out of YG. He was a huge crux when it comes to the success of Texas A&M yesterday and his ability to perform in the top lane. But Drovey is definitely going blow for blow with his 2-0-1 stat line.
So both teams now slowing the pace down. The Drake has been up for quite some time, and it doesn't seem like either team wants to pick it up. It's a Cloud Drake, not a damage Drake. It doesn't help you blow anything up, doesn't help you heal, just helps you move around the map a little bit. Yeah, this is true if you utilized it properly. It doesn't seem like either team wants to. 1st of July getting a little aggressive, and Mr. Black Panda just having a very difficult time in the lane right now.
Luckily, however, he is able to stay up on CS against 1st of July, and so while he is losing in the kills and essentially in the gold, he's still trying to keep himself relevant with that farm. You can see him floating towards the mix build now of deciding, all right, do I want to build the Banshee's Veil first, or do I want to decide to go for that Morella Namacon? But all the rather, being able to at least keep yourself up in CS will add some sense of relevancy as the game goes on.
So Vandy now in the driver's seat, and for one of the first times in quite some time, Texas on the back foot beyond just a little bit of cheese here as 1st of July continuing to bully this mid lane. He's pushing the lead as much as he can, and down he goes. He's unstoppable. All the while, though, on the bottom side of the map, Varus picks up the first tower for Texas A&M.
16 minutes in this game, and 1st of July already has a fully stacked Dark Seal.
He does, and uh-oh. 1st of July in a little bit of trouble. He's just going to commit suicide. He's just walking the tower and's like, hey, man, I'd rather just die than let you guys kill me. No gold, no experience goes over. But they weren't actually hunting for him. They were taking the Cloud Drake.
Yeah, he loses the perfect KDA, but for the cost of his team and for the potential win, he'll definitely take it into his pocket. That 1,000 gold lead has stayed similar for the last 5 minutes in favor of Vanderbilt, but Texas A&M, they want to see if they can start firing up those hot air balloons to possibly, you know, get a little bit all above. So they pop themselves that Cloud Drake. First one of the game, as we're starting to hit these first item spikes for the other members. 1st of July had a little bit of an accelerated build path with his 5-0-5-1-1 stat line, but the other members are starting to get close. You've got Ravenous Hydra now completed on Drovi, which is going to be quite the menace on a Fat YG, who only has 2 of the 3 components of that Trinity Force. And just with that recognition, Omnimus Mirror is going to come into the top lane for that repeat gank at the top.
He is. He's thinking about going from behind. Instead, he'll pop over the wall into the bush. Unfortunately for him, the minions are shoving into the top lane tower, so it's not going to be an easy counter gank. Oh man, look at the damage that Drovi's throwing down. However, there is a nice rotation coming. Everyone knows that the top lane is where the party's at. Chuck Norvis now in a little bit of trouble. Flash over the wall by Glory. Keeps his 80 carry safe for now. Teleport being channeled by YG. He wants to join the fight. 1st of July, that's a lot of the damage. He goes down, so Vanderbilt forced to retreat. Vandy Landy trying to get the damage out on YG, but he's going to get cut down. Mr. Black Panda finds himself his first kill, and Sivers Caldi is all by his lonesome. The support still alive for just a couple more seconds, and it's an ace for Texas A&M. What just happened?
What we thought was going to be a huge effort in the form of Vanderbilt, it was immediately rebutted by Texas A&M. I like the decision by Vanderbilt to move everyone to the top side. They already had a low tower. They already had the Sivir ultimate potentially start that fight, but they started to fight in these choke points, which is very beneficial for somebody like Syndra, for somebody like a Varus, and as a result, Chuck Norris picks themselves up a triple kill. They take down that Rift Herald. They secure themselves a turret, and this is Texas A&M flipping things right on its head faster than what we can expect it.
Yeah, unfortunate there because, again, Vanderbilt being proactive, trying to rotate everything up to the top side, and it just looked like a little bit of target misselection. And because of that, when your Fed carry goes down in the form of 1st of July, you got to back up, especially if you have no real tank. You have a pseudo tank right now in the Gragas, but no one that can really soak up the damage and slow things down to let your damage dealer deal damage.
They need to recognize not necessarily as much of when they need to fight, but more of where they need to fight. That choke point was absolutely killer in the team fights. And the other piece of it as well was Vandy Landy was actually locked down for a good 2 or 3 seconds because he used his spell shield early, which stopped the damage from the Spear of Black Panda.
1st of July flashing forward onto Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is going to fall, but he gets a kill for his trouble. Almost 2.
Wow.
An impressive play there by Chuck Norris. Now, Glory heading on in. Sivir Scaldi very low. Bot with the beer goes down. Bot with the B here goes down. And now Glory left all by himself. His mid laner's in the top side. His top laner's on the bottom side, so Glory's all alone. Nice cast, gonna slow down Glory. Does the team want to follow up? No, they don't. So 1st of July and Ominous Mirror back off a 2 for 0.
But
2 for 1.
They weren't able to get this kill, and they weren't able to get an objective off of it. Yes, they trade 1 for 2. An extra kill goes into the pocket of Chuck Norris, but all the while, Black Panda was farming in the top side of the map, trying to get himself some level of strength with the difficulties that he faced in the lane phase. And YG as well was able to keep his CS up as he was pushing into the bottom side of the map, which Texas A&M is perfectly fine with this. They do scale well. Fat YG, now with that Triforce completed, he's going to have himself a power spike, and that team fight composition could potentially start to take over.
Glory just heading on in, saying thank you very much.
That'll be mine. I'm just gonna take that away.
So the eyes, our eyes need to be on the 80 carry of Texas A&M. Chuck Norris picking up several kills, not only in the big skirmish that has turned this game on its head, but just that last one as well. Almost picked up 2, 5-1-1 on the opposite side. 1st of July, Vandy's going to live and die on him right now. Drovi, though, has himself a nice lead and some nice items.
He has able to go back, as we might have to pause here. Glory
looking to engage here on Sivers Scaldi. Will be getting the stun down. Vandy Landy trying to help his support out, but is like, hey, sorry, bud, you're dead.
No, there's no flash, there's no sums, and while Jenna is a fantastic support with these Ardent Sensors, she is not a very mobile character when she does not have those summoner spells up, and that's going to be...
I don't know if they have vision of this. Vandy does not have vision.
First
of July has no idea he's walking into 4 members, goes in, does have a lot of damage, but not enough to go to all 4 members, and down they go. Texas A&M taking control of the Baron Pit area with great vision. We've talked about it all day long. Texas A&M taking advantage of it now.
And with 1st of July being the single most fed member on Vanderbilt, with his death timer there and no teleport to join the fray when he does respawn, that's going to be an easy decision for Texas A&M.
YG is trying to zone off the jungler from getting in, and oh my god!
He steals it!
Ominous Mirror steals the Baron for Vanderbilt, and it will slow down Texas A&M. Texas A&M will clean this one up. They're very low. Vandy has no more mana though, so it's just going to be a couple of auto attacks, but a huge steal by Vandy to keep everyone alive and to keep the game alive in their hands.
That Baron steal stopped Vanderbilt from losing this game. If Texas A&M would have got the Baron, their play strategy of fighting around the objectives would have ran it true. Mixing that with the Rift Herald, it would have been death for the Vanderbilt Commodores. But they hold their swords high, they get that steal from Omnimus Mirror, and they're right back in the mix.
All right, proving why they put him in. So yes, Texas A&M kill all the members of Vanderbilt. I do believe there is one more Baron-empowered champion in Sivers Scaldi. I believe he was alive at that time. We'll get a confirmation. Yeah, there it is. Great jobs there by our observers, by the way. Killing it. And that means Vanderbilt still has an opportunity here. So Texas A&M, great vision, but you can't stop a great play out of Vanderbilt. So great stuff for them. Now Vandy trying to hang around the dragon. Will be able to pick this one up. Oh, miss smite, but it's picked up by the support. Sivers Scaldi saying, hey man, I might not be jungle right now. All the while though, Drovey is very low. Nice ultimate to keep him alive. YG on the flank. Oh, Drovey's able to get away, but at what cost? Glory says, hey, you're not going too far. 1, 2, 3 kills heading on over to Texas A&M. Vandy Landy trying to rifle in his auto attacks, but here comes the counter-strike. Down he goes, and all the things going wrong for Vanderbilt. Omnis Mirror, the last one alive, but he's your pseudo tank. He doesn't have too much damage. Forced to back off. Glory wants all of it, and yes, he will have all of it. And so for a short while, it looked like Vandy was still in it. Texas A&M closed the door.
And Vanderbilt misprioritized themselves with that dragon. I understand you want the dragon. I understand that it's a fantastic objective, but you have to realize the setup that it requires in the process. This might actually, no, it's not going to be the end of games. Death timers are still too low. We got a little excited on that one. But that's going to be an inhibitor down, and we're going to take a look back at this Drake fight. Again, it was a fantastic effort for them to start to get it and split up YG, but they don't realize how strong he actually is. And so as a result, Texas A&M is able to focus down that really quick front line of Drovey, and they're just able to simply clean up as a result. 1st of July, by the time he gets to the back line, was 30% HP. And when you're that low as a Vladimir still this early in the game, things just aren't going to work out in your favor. So Vanderbilt misprioritized the direction, and Texas A&M takes advantage of it.
And they absolutely do. Ominous Mirror, the last one alive there, wasn't able to get away. And again, this goes back to the composition. If you're going to play a top lane damage dealer like you do with Drovey, you've got to be able to find a way to get the lines safe for your AD carry and your main damage dealer in 1st of July to deal their damage. But if someone tanky and someone sticky like a Jax can stay with your damage dealers, there's not much you can do.
And so now we're at the 25-minute mark, and what seemed like Vanderbilt's efforts doing so much better than what we expected at the beginning of this game. One little mistake, and a team like Texas A&M will completely take over the match, and that's exactly what happened. The Baron still was great. It definitely helped you, but they weren't able to utilize it efficiently. They gave a little bit of a falter step on that dragon, so now Texas A&M with supers in the bot side of the map, as well as that teleport available on the